What's happening, fam? L.A.R. movement still moving. Book is entitled Lessons from a Non-Custodial Father at Amazon, Kindle, and Create Space. Link will be in the description box below as usual. Go get it. PayPal link there also. They asked me to put it up, so I put it up. Thanks everybody for supporting. But this video, though, this video is entitled Gentrified by the D-Boy, by the D-Boys. Part of gentrification that we seem to skip over is you have to bring the value down of the community. And who normally brings the value down in a community are the criminals or the degenerates. And who usually buys up the community are people who are technically associated with supplying the criminals and degenerates, the dope boys and whatnot, with the products to create an environment that becomes hostile, that people don't want to live in, that people eventually move out of, that tears up the property, and then these groups come buy it up. What do I mean by this? You hear people talk about, who's supplying these drug dealers. Let's say they get their dope from white folks or Hispanics or Asians, or maybe Arabs get guns and stuff like that. But everything that's involved with the underground trade of narcotics and firearms, and then it winds up going into robbery, prostitution, so on and so forth, that winds up tearing the neighborhood apart, is directly correlated to the dope boys, because the same white people wind up buying the property and gentrifying it. Changes overnight, and then the dope boys all of a sudden they don't sell there no more. Hispanics will buy it up. Then all of a sudden the dope boys ain't there selling anymore. Asians, they're like Asians and Arabs, they're kind of chill. Like they'll just get a few spots, blah blah blah, because they're not a big demographic of the population to begin with. But they'll get their piece of the pie. There's certain spots. And, there was this push even out here where it was like, we need to buy back the hood. And some of the people who were saying that were some of the people who were glorifying the D-Boy life that tore up the hood. Maybe they even participated in it. When you do, so who knows? But the thing about that is this. Then you want brothers who left those situations who didn't participate, or who did participate and just like, nah, I'm not doing this no more, and decided I'm not part of that, and they left it alone. You want those very guys to come back to the neighborhood and help fix the neighborhood. But these dope boys are scot-free. And it plays on this fact where if you're, the lottery effect, where if you didn't have money and you start getting money, you start just spending frivolously. So a lot of dope boys weren't as smart of a businessman as some of you would like to think, because they didn't own too many businesses. Few dope boys own businesses of real estate. Few of them did. But other people came in and bought stuff. Few dope boys turned their proceeds into like a real estate that they could rent out or renovate and sell. That wasn't their MO. Few of them started a business that they could actually run legitimately after it was after they were done, or it was a drought, so on and so forth. They didn't really have a lot of vision. So we skip that part. We wholeheartedly just skip over that part. And I think I think it's dumb on our parts because we get upset that, you know, we're not taking care of the community, but, you know, the street culture, the criminal culture of tearing up stuff becomes rampant. You know, you get, you know, the gangs, they come around and they make sure they tear up stuff. And then the young people in the neighborhood think that's normal, and then they tear up stuff. Or, you know, you're throwing trash in the streets and this, that, and the third. Because of things that when you don't value the community, it seems out of the norm to somebody to come along and value the community. Like when you see people picking up trash in the hood, it's like, how you doing that? And then somebody just be reckless, whether they're in the streets or not, they'll just start throwing trash on the ground. And it's like, okay. But then there comes a point where why does the neighborhood look like this? You know, how come people's grass isn't cut? How come, you know, people's homes that need painting is not painted and is breaking apart because, you know, you got accustomed to a low value. And because you got accustomed to a low value, it perpetuates that the property value is not going to get higher. And people are not going to make home improvements either, whether inside or outside. So, and then people come in and you get mad at the people who come in and buy these neighborhoods up, but they wind up renovating. It could be the same structures in the neighborhood. They just renovate them. That's all they do to them. Sometimes they tear them down and build new ones, but to me, it's like a 50-50 split. Like if they can keep the structure, it's like, oh man, we could turn this into a nice little such and such and such and such. Because some of the structures are, the architecture is sound, but it gives it a whole different feel. Kind of like in New Orleans. Like when you go to certain places in New Orleans, you don't want to tear down those kind of houses and build up new ones because it takes away from the feel of the city. But, you know, going back to it a little bit, this is part of the problem. Because you mad at the white folks that the dope boys buying drugs from, buying up the joint. And it's funny, you mad at the Hispanics buying up the joint. You mad at, you know, the Asians having all these corner stores and the Arabs having all these corner stores buying up the joint. But, and they might not even be, and the irony of it is, these aren't necessarily, for the most part, the same people. Like, so these people have like, this money just comes out of nowhere, but I don't think it comes out of nowhere. I think people, you know, behind the scenes, you got people with clean hands who got money, you got people with dirty hands who hire people with clean hands to, you know, help them out. I remember there was an episode of The Sopranos when the father took the son out to the hood and he was showing him properties he bought. And people didn't really catch that. You know what I'm saying? Like, why would Tony Soprano be buying property in these hoods? Because he knows. He's the one, he's supplying that hood with drugs and it looks like a dilapidated area in the first place. But he also knows people higher up have their eyes on prime real estate. Buy low, sell high. That, you know, sometimes some areas of prime real estate by location alone, where everything is close to. You got to think about it. When they ran the interstates through a lot of black communities back in the day, there are still communities around that. So some of these communities were even though they ran the interstate through the business district, the communities are easy access to the freeway. And sometimes when certain parts of town get so super high and super pricey, what winds up being prime real estate, those areas that you would call the hood. Because, man, if we could just buy up a bunch of land here, buy these cheap houses, renovate them. We could sell them, blah, blah, blah. Look how cool. We could just get on the interstate and we're right at downtown. We could put a supermarket here, blah, 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 blah. And, we forget that. But we blame everybody else, but we don't take into consideration that part of the responsibility for these gentrified areas are the dope boys. So we out. Like, share, subscribe. Take care. Catch you on the next one. Peace.